I thought you, a little afterthought.
And like I said, Ken, and everybody to hear, I'm getting older. I forget stuff just like everybody else. I just do. I need people to remind me all the time. I need people to walk around me and go, hey, don't forget that. Don't forget that. It's just the way it is with me. I'm a little ADD on top of all of that, so it makes it worse. But listen, I have the pleasure today of being able to introduce somebody that I met about 5 years ago. And what stood out to me about this couple, not just this man, but this couple, they are the epitome of this. You know, two people together that love each other and are together forever, that you can see and know it's there. They're so, so strong. They're so strong. This is one of the strongest couples I've ever met. I remember hearing their story on stage about something that happened in their life it had to be difficult. But I never forgot it. I never forgot that story. And we reconvened a little later, I don't know, maybe 2 years later, but I'd mentioned something to Ken about something I was doing. And he had an interest, but he never forgot me. This is why I know this is a good people. He never forgot me. And when something came up that he needed, he called me. And this was maybe 6 months later, 7 months later, maybe 8 months, I don't know. But I remember having this discussion with him. And Ken told me, he goes, well, now you got to talk to Sandy. You got to talk to the boss, you know? And the only thing I could think of to say at that time, when she wanted to know why should she do this and why should I be involved, and the only thing I had to say, and I'm not going to say it because it's not my place to say what happened to me, but I just said something to the effect, I said, you know, Sandy, you remember your story you told in Las Vegas from stage? She goes, yeah. I said, you remember what happened to you that you told everybody? She said, yeah. I said, do you think it's time to get that thing redone for you? That was my question. And I asked that question because they made an impact on me. They don't know it, but in Las Vegas, they made an impact on me by telling their story. See, everybody relates to people different ways. I happen to relate to this man and this lady in a very fond way. I listen to everything they say, but he made a super impact on me that day. Something I'll never forget. And it just touched me. It's one of those things where you really want to help people. And Ken and Sandy, look, they don't need any help. They can go build anything they want, big as they want. They're those kind of people. But I still want to help them. It's just one of those things, you know? It's just one of those deals. So without further ado, I need to welcome right now, coming out here to give you a mindset training, and I don't even know what it's about. I don't even know. I got my notes ready. Get your pen. You don't know either. That's the funniest part. Get your pen ready. Get your notepad ready. Get ready, because I'm about to bring to you a 38-year veteran, multi-7-figure earner, built huge teams. I think he's only been in 3 companies or something his whole life, maybe 4, but 2 of them 18 years apiece. He's a sticker, as they call it. He's a guy that comes in and stays. He sees it through, and he doesn't desert his team, him or his wife, either one. So, Mr. Ken Kelm, sir, you have the stage.
Well, thank you, my brother. You were bringing back some things that almost brought me to tears. It makes it difficult to really talk when you think about, but everybody's got a story, and I can't wait to hear yours. I really can't. Each and every one of you on this screen. So this was advertised as a mindset. I don't even know what that is, frankly, but these are just going to be some thoughts from an old guy that's been around this industry longer than most of you have probably been alive. And it's been an incredible ride. Let me give you just a brief background, because I think it's very relevant in that every one of us were taught fundamentally the same thing in regards to success. And you tell me if this wasn't the case for you. I was taught to get an education, get as much as I could possibly get, work it hard, get a good job, in other words, and work it hard, or get a good business or profession, but work it hard, and then one day you could retire and enjoy life. That's what I was taught. And everywhere I looked, all of my classmates, all of my relatives, everybody I knew was doing that same thing, which was literally trading hours for dollars. That's what I was involved with. I was a state employee. I worked for the Missouri Department of Conservation, a job, a profession that I wanted since I was an itty bitty kid. Literally, I wanted to be a professional hunter and trapper. And that's exactly what I ended up doing. I had a job that I looked forward to going to every day. And I was one of those employees because I loved what I did so much that I would work endless hours. I mean, 80, 120-hour work weeks were common for me. And when you have a region the size of the state of Missouri, that's easy to do too. But I literally worked for many, many years with farmers and ranchers that had issues with wildlife, coyotes killing their livestock, beaver flooding their crops, whatever the case may be. And I had a ball. The problem was I had responsibilities called house payments, car payments, children that wanted to be fed, utility bills. That income just wasn't going to cut it. And it took me the longest time to realize that. It really did. And I got to tell you, when I started in my career, I not only did I love what I was doing, but I had a vision, I had a dream in my head that one day, that I would live in a big acreage. I didn't know where, but I knew specifically what that acreage would look like. I'm a wildlife guy, right? I like the outdoors. I like it rough. I like it uninhabited with people, and I like it inhabited with very large deer, big turkey gobblers, you name it. That's what I'm after. But I also, and there's a message in this. You may be wondering, what's this got to do with bump? Well, we're getting to that. But I also wanted this acreage to be hardwoods like oaks and hickories and coniferous pines. I wanted that mixture. So after years of working hard for the state of Missouri, I was going further and further and further behind. And I found out it didn't make any difference how hard I worked for somebody else. I was never, ever going to accomplish the dreams that I had. And that was just the big acreage. I wanted a big fine log home on that property. I wanted lakes on that property with bass so big you needed a winch to pull them out of the water with. You know, I wanted turkeys gobbling on every ridge. I wanted four-wheelers and horses and ATVs, so when my kids and grandkids came, there was just endless fun at Grandpa's house. That's what I wanted. And I'm telling you, after working and working and working, I finally realized I was never going to have it. And I took those monstrous dreams, figure just a huge circle, if you will, filled with dreams, filled with your dreams, and take that circle and over time shrink it and shrink it and shrink it and shrink it and shrink it down to an everyday, mundane existence. I lost my dreams. I had given up. I didn't think I could have them. And I was in the prime of life, wasn't afraid of work. But what I finally realized, gang, and it took my dad to finally bring this industry to me. He's the only one that ever got me to look, the only one. And I had gotten to the point to where I knew trading hours for dollars wasn't going to work anymore. I even tried part-timing it. I did everything I could. I even diversified. In fact, the number one way that the American male diversifies his income, y'all know what it is? It's the number one way. There's no other even comes close. Now, it's totally accepted today, but I finally came to the conclusion that I had to put my wife to work because a single income household wasn't going to cut it anymore. And boy, I could go off on all sorts of angles there with what's happened to America since mom's put the kids in daycare and et cetera. That's a whole nother mindset, if you will. But the bottom line is I got introduced to this industry and it changed everything. But all of a sudden I had a 60, 80 gusts of 120-hour work week to work on my what would you call that? Not my lifestyle. Yeah, I guess it was my lifestyle. And then I had to put in some amount of time somewhere on a consistent basis to realize my dreams. Now that wasn't easy. Most of you probably are employed somewhere. You may have your own business. I don't know. But bump is not your entire source of revenue. But you've got to work it in. So what makes you do that? That's really the bottom line. By the way, last night, I got to tell you, I was in the hot tub and I gave this seminar, if you will, in the hot tub. It was really, really good last night. So if it comes out again today, hopefully it'll come across to you and it will impact your life, because I get inspired in the hot tub, I think. And I also purposely, and 5 concepts, Mr. Shane Hendricks, I hope you see my hat. Let me get in close here. It says Maui. You got that? Hawaiian shirt, subliminal message. Because here's what's going to take place. We're going to have, in approximately a year from now, what I'm going to call the big bumpers. Now, these are going to be the guys and gals that take what you've been taught by Ron, who does a better presentation than Ron Pruitt. My hat is off to you, sir. But I also got to tell you, Scotty, my goodness, the first one, knocked it out of the park. Franco, you the man. And Thomas, holy cow. You've had some excellent teaching. What you're going to get today is just a perspective that I hope sets into your heart, because it was a perspective that I lived over the past almost 40 years in this industry. So here's where I'm heading. And I think it's really came to be very obvious over the past few weeks, more so than ever before. Because I was told about this 40-year plan, as we call it, 40 years ago, where you trade hours for dollars. You put in 40 hours a week, and when that's not enough, you put in 50. And when that's not enough, you put in 60. And then you become a dual income household. And then not only are you a dual income household, but you become 2 people doing 2 jobs apiece, 4 incomes per household. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? That, or you're living a very meager lifestyle, or you've been absolutely blessed with an amazing business. But my point is this: over those 40 years, I was going to invest approximately 80,000 hours to end up, according to the Social Security Administration and the Department of Health and Human Resources, dead, disabled, or broke at age 65. Those were my odds, trading hours for dollars. If you think I'm kidding, go look up those sources. Google it, and you'll find that it's probably even worse today. So I was introduced to a whole different concept of duplicating myself. I mean, J. Paul Getty, our nation's first billionaire, he said it best. If you want to make a lot of money, you can do it one of 2 ways. You can either invest all of your time and earn your income based on 100% of your effort, or better yet, he said, you can take on 100 people and take 1% of their effort and put it all together. It still adds up to 100%. Are you getting that picture? It's called duplication. We've seen it in this nation forever. It's been like franchising. I mean, that's duplication. Employer, employee, that's duplication. But now you're in a situation with bump. Now, let me tell you, I've never, in all of my career in this industry, seen anything so relevant and so simple, so needed and so easy and so lucrative as bump. And I mean that. It is an incredible opportunity. But what it boils down to is this. You see, over the next several months, couple of years, you can set yourself up for generations, or you can watch another opportunity go by. Now, I should have warned you, I'm not one of those flowery speakers that orate with all these wonderful eloquencies and whatever the other words may be. I'm going to tell you, because I love you, I'm going to tell you straight up, if you will do just a couple of the things that I'm going to lay out here. And here's what's nuts, that you've heard before. You've heard them before, unless you're brand new to this industry and you've never, ever been involved in a network marketing company. There's nothing new under the sun, gang. It's whether or not you're going to take what these leaders have been teaching for eons and apply it for you. That's what it boils down to. And this is so simple, but even as simple as it is, you've got to cross a threshold. You have got to finally determine that, dadgummit, my dreams are worth it. Mine. My dreams are worth it. I've got the financial vehicle now. What am I going to do with it? Am I going to go out here and hit and miss with it? Am I going to put a little effort in here and a little bit there? Or am I going to really get involved? Because either you will discipline you over the next few months and years, or a boss will. Now, let's go back to the uniqueness of this timing. I have never in my 40 years seen timing as incredible as it is right now. Think about it. You know where I'm going, but have you honestly thought about it and said, you know what? I've got friends and family who are hurting right now. I've got coworkers who are unemployed. I've got small business owners who don't have a business anymore and may not ever be able to come back and survive what's taken place. And boy, I could go off on that, but let me tell you, I can't. I'll get sidetracked. I'll just tell you this. It was fabricated. It was intentional. And boy, did they play it out well. So now that I got that off my chest, here's the opportunity. There are more people looking for opportunity today because they came to a conclusion in the recent weeks that what they thought was secure was absolutely temporary. You see, I'm a brick and mortar business owner also. I've had jobs in the past, just like you have. And I've watched my campground that you saw on my bump card, I've watched it go down the tubes for the last several weeks. I've had people call saying, man, we got to cancel. We're afraid. We're afraid to come out. And so I've watched that happen. But here's also what I've watched. I've watched my home-based business go boom. I mean, it's just going out the roof. And it's not because of our experience. It's because we're not afraid. We're not afraid to tell people what we have our hands on. But Ken, you don't know my brother-in-law. Oh, yes, I do. I got 2 or 3 of them too, and they're all knuckleheads. But guess what? They're hurting right now. And Sandy and I, we are getting gooder and gooder every day because of this industry. So here's just some simple things that you got to do. You got to realize it's not about you or me. It's about them. How can I get good enough to convey to my friends and family, people that I meet, people that I bump into, literally. Now we can double bump, okay? In fact, let me tell you a quick story. Just the other day, I was up in Fort Smith, Arkansas. We live in western Arkansas, and we live in the middle of a national forest, a 1.8 million acre national forest. And so everything's an hour away. And I went up to run some errands and pick up some stuff. And on my way home, I had my bump card in my pocket, and I thought, I'm going to stop into my local dealership where I buy my vehicles. And I've bought a couple of there in recent years and just see if they'd be interested. I'm just going to test this thing. So I dropped in the Dodge dealership. I'm a Ram truck fan. And I was, the sales manager was sitting there behind his desk, you know, and how can we help you? And I said, it's not how you can help me, it's how I can help you. Dude, you need to see this. Watch this. And I whipped out my bump card. I didn't even introduce myself other than I'm a former customer. That's all they knew. They didn't recognize me. And I can tell you, I wasn't dressed for success. I had on jeans and a shirt and a cap. I don't care. It's your attitude that makes the difference. And I walked in there and I bumped that guy's phone and he looked at that and he looked at me and he looked at that and he looked at me and he said, you need to talk to our general manager. I said, okay, are they available? Yep. And he directed somebody to take me to the general manager. So I go in and this lady's name is Karen. I've never met her. She wasn't the GM at the time that I think I bought there a couple of years ago. But nonetheless, she greeted me with a handshake. And I said, thank you for that. And she knew exactly what I was talking about. You know, we're supposed to be social distancing. Ooh, what a crock. Anyway, I told her why I was there. And she said, well, show me. And I said, hand me your phone. And she had the latest model iPhone. I took out my little bump card and boop, bing, it popped up. She looked at that phone and she looked at me. And she looked at that phone and she looked at me. And she said, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I need to know more. And I said, I'm not your guy, really. I'm just the messenger. But let me see if I can get the guy on the phone. Fortunately, Ron answered. I said, Ron, I'm at a dealership where I buy. I'm sitting with the general manager. Can you tell her more about bump? Sure, Ken. You know, it's an old three-way thing. I mean, that's how I built monster organizations. And all she could say, and Ron will testify to this, all she could say was, that's cool. I need to know more. Where can I find out more? And when I left, that's the last thing she said. I need more information. That's cool. So that was just a sidebar. I don't even know why I brought it up now. So let's get to some of the major things that it's going to take for you to get that kind of attitude about you, that kind of posture. Because, well, here's another perspective. The number one thing you've got to work on is not bump card. It's you. It's you. Well, yeah, but no, there is no buts here. Let me give you this perspective. How many of y'all have heard of people that have won the lottery? I mean, buku dollars, but they didn't have the personal growth to keep it. What happened to those buku dollars? Gone in 5 years. Gone. Because they didn't know how to handle it. You see, before you're going to be able to build a big business, you got to build a big attitude. You got to get you right. Because when you get you right, then you can accomplish anything. In fact, that reminds me of another story. You know how your kids, and some of you may have kids that are, 4, 5, 6 years old, they just want dad and mom's time. And this young boy his daddy had came home from a long day at the office, and the kid said, daddy, let's go out and play. Let's go out and play. And he was busy, kind of chilling and reading the newspaper. And the kid and the dad kept saying, hey, just give me a minute, son, and we'll go out and play. Well, minutes passed. The kid came back and said, Daddy, let's go outside and play. Finally, the dad got a little perturbed because he'd had a hard day, and he noticed in the paper he was reading was the face of a man. And he took that piece of newspaper and he tore it up into several pieces, big pieces, but he made a puzzle out of the face of the man. And by the way, on the flip side of that was the map of the world. And anyway, he told his son, he says, when you get that puzzle put back together, when you can, it wasn't the world, I'm sorry, it's the United States. Nonetheless, doesn't make any difference. But he said, when you can put the United States back together, he said, you come get me. not realizing, it's been a long time since I told this story, not realizing on the flip side of that was the picture of a man's face. So the little kid took that wad of paper and kind of discussed it, and he went to the floor and he started piecing it together, and his dad thought, I can relax now. And it wasn't a minute. It wasn't a minute. The kid came back and said, Dad, I got it done. He said, what? You got to be kidding me. He says, no, I got it done. He said, how did you do that? How did you put the United States all back together just like that? And the kid said, it was easy. He said, on the other side was the face of a man. And he said, when I got the man right, the whole world came together. Are you hearing this? When I got the man right. You see, I tried working hard. There were times in this industry where if you outperformed me physically, you were doing something. My normal routine was work all day and then drive half the night to do meetings. We didn't have this format back then. Everything we did, we drove to. And I can remember multiple times, I can't count the numbers of times, that I've driven 5-6 hours away to do a meeting to get home just in time to go to work the next day. I'm not kidding. The reason was my dreams were so big in my heart that I had to have them. I wanted them. I was willing to fight for them. Are you? But in that process, and this is something that's missing today, I think, is in all of those hours of driving, and I'm talking a lot. When I grew up in this industry, gang, if you weren't putting on 50,000 miles a year, minimum, developing your business, you weren't doing it. We were always the first ones at a meeting, the last ones to leave. We were always at every event. We were always in the front row because of activity. We never showed less than 30 presentations a month. Never. I mean, not once I realized what I had to do. I was willing to work as hard on my dreams and my financial fortune than I was on my job. That had never gotten me anywhere. Are you getting this? It's going to take some commitment, gang. But in that, I had so much time that even in my little game warden truck, as I called it, this was back in cassette tape days. I know some of you don't even know what those are. I could go back further. This is back in Ron's era. That would be 8-track tape days. No, I'm sorry, I'm kidding. But I can remember Velcroing a cassette tape player on the dash of my little game warden truck so I could educate me with leaders in Amway at that time. That was my first rodeo. 18 years there, made a fortune there, but it took me a while. It wasn't an overnight success. It took me forever just to get to $2,000 a month. I mean, it took like 18 months or more. But I was learning and I was developing and I was working as hard on me to be a better me than I was on my business. I actually was kind of hand in glove, but the point is the state trapper dude that started is not the is not the entrepreneur you're listening to right now. I'll promise you that. I couldn't have no more done what I'm doing with you right now. There's no way. I mean, I was not one of those people who could even say a silent prayer in a group of two. All right, ain't no way. But what got me there was a couple of things. Number one was my dreams. I wanted that property. I wanted to be able to manage wildlife on my own domain. I wanted to be able to create the horse pastures and have what my wife wanted. Her passion is horses. She has me to do hay. I mean, that's what I do. And because she's got horses. And don't ask me why she needs 16, but she does. I mean, you can only ride one, right? But she's got 16 and she'd have more if I'd let her. Well, she'd have more if I didn't let her. But the point is, We had things that we wanted, and then we had a work ethic. And that's something that's missing today, gang, is a work ethic. I was raised on a dairy farm. I've been responsible for feeding calves and bottle training calves, and I was baling hay when I was 6, for heaven's sakes. I mean, it's insane. I don't see that work ethic today. So there are some things we got to decide we need to do, and that's define your dream. Figure out what it is you really are willing to pay the price for, and then go pay it. It's not negotiable. You either do or you don't. Your dreams are not just gonna go, whoops, hey, I bumped a couple of cards and I'm a millionaire. Baby cakes, I'm sorry. It's gonna take work. But with this and this technology, I haven't driven a mile to share an opportunity in years because of Zoom and other formats. It's insane how simple this is today. But you still got to get your head to the point to where you go, I'm worthy, I deserve it, I'm willing to go fight for it. Now, so why are you doing this? Why? Do you know? Because if you don't know, if I were in a room full of you where we were physically together and you had your sheet of paper out, if you couldn't write down 5 or 6 things I mean like that, then you're not serious. If you can't write down 1 right now, this ain't gonna happen for you until you get a dream that you're willing to fight for. That's what it takes. You gotta be willing to fight for it. And with today's opportunity, I haven't verified this, but I'll guarantee you it's increased dramatically. The home-based business industry as a whole in the past few weeks has skyrocketed. I heard 85%. Don't hold me to that, but regardless of what it is, you talk about a ripe field for harvest. Is your head ready to go do it? Is your heart ready to go do it? Or are you going to watch one of the biggest opportunities ever go right by you? These are hard questions, I know. I told you. I'm going to tell you like it is because I care enough, because your dreams are worth it to you. I want you to know what it takes. All right? So then, once you've got that dream defined, gang, it's going to take some commitment. What are you willing to do? Not on an occasional basis, not putting everything else in front of your dreams, because when your dreams are important, they become a priority. Well, Ken, you know what? I just don't know. I've got baseball practice, and I've got my bowling league, and I've got to go fishing this weekend, and boy, the bass are on the beds, or it could be in the fall and the deer are rutting, or I've got a quilting party to go to. Whatever excuse you want to give me, that's what it is. And you know what that tells me? Your dream's not there. It's not. I love y'all, but when that dream is big enough, nothing else matters, because you're going to go get it. So let me give you this thought just came to mind. You know, I've got 5 kids, and they're all exceptional because of this industry, because of how they were brought up. They weren't brought up by a state trapper attitude. They were very, very little when I got started. They were brought up as the sons and daughters of an entrepreneur in this crazy network marketing industry. And the thought occurred to me, and I've asked a couple of them in the past. I said, where do you think you'd be today if you'd have been brought up by a state trapper, by just a workaday guy? And they said, we'd have been workaday guys, just like you, Dad. Today, they are all doing exceedingly well. I'm talking really well. In fact, a couple of them are millionaires. And I'm proud of that. And did I pay a price for that? Yes, absolutely we did. Was it easy? Absolutely not. But that's not the question. The question is, was it worth it? And that's a definite yes. So we made commitments time-wise. We made commitments to work on ourselves. I've listened to thousands of cassette tapes, audios on whatever medium that you want to name today, all the way up to the iPods and whatever the latest technology is, the sticks, and I can't think of it all. Ron laughs at me. I'm the least techie person on this screen. I promise you that. I don't like it. I don't even like to get on Zoom because I'm afraid I'll touch a wrong button and screw it all up. But I do it anyway. Why? Because I want to help. And see, when you get you out of the way and you start looking at others and how can I help you accomplish your dreams, that's when it really gets cool. I just love it when people say, you know what, before this industry, I was thus and such, and today I'm this or that. In fact, I got one super story of a kid from a turkey farm in Arkansas that was in my Amway business way back when. And he learned what I'm trying to convey to you. And this is just one of several. And he was an introvert. He was country as butter beans, man. But he had a desire. And he came to me one day and he says, I need a job. I said, well, I know a guy that can train you in the cell phone industry. And that kid jumped in the cell phone industry and within a year had his own store. And now, this is probably 20 years later, he's, if not the largest, I think he's the largest Verizon authorized agent in America. I'm pretty sure he's approaching 400 stores now, if he's not already broke over that. There's one in my local town, okay? And, but he attributes it to what I'm trying to convey to you. He had a dream worth fighting for. He chose that as his financial vehicle, which was fine. Those people are, there's thousands of people who took the success principles we're talking about, which we're only covering a couple, but are super successful in whatever walk of life they chose that they ended up in. And he literally had his employees reading positive mental attitude books daily, doing book reports to him. How could he do that? Well, he was the boss. You see, here's the hard thing. You're the boss. Will you discipline you enough to have that kind of success? Because if you don't, someone else will. Either that or you'll end up on the government toll. I don't think you want to go there. But so once you have that dream defined, then you got to go to work and get into the personal growth stuff. Books to read, oh my goodness. The classics, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If you haven't read that, read it and then read it again. Think and Grow Rich. The Magic of Thinking Big. Oh my goodness, there's so many, but those are probably the three classics. If you'll digest those and reread them, because every time you read it and then go apply it, you go back and read it again, it's a total new book to you. It's like a cassette tape or whatever audio version you listen to today. If you can, by the way, if you can get your hands on some old Amway tapes, the principles still apply. And there's some great teaching there. But every time you listen to something and then you go apply it, when you come back and listen to it again, you're going to go, wait a minute. I didn't hear that the first time around. No, you didn't. I mean, you did, but it didn't register. It's as you apply these things that more and more starts becoming a part of you. So you got to make those kinds of personal growth commitments. You got to make commitments to how frequently that you're going to share this opportunity. How many cards are you going to bump before you go to work and on your way home from work? How many cards are you going to bump at lunch? That's as tough as it gets. And then you sick Ron on them and it's a done deal. It's just that simple. And with all the videos that he's created, I mean, what a company we've got. with 5 Points and Shane and Wayne and Gordon and Ron. I mean, we got it going here, gang. And you know what? I hate to say it this way, but it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, with or without you and me. With or without. I want to be with, all right? So you make those kinds of commitments. But here's just, I got to keep looking at a note here. It's really not about the product, as great a product as we have. It never has been in this industry. I mean, you can take the worst product out there. If there was an MLM that sold flavored toothpicks, you could make it work, because it's not the product. It's the attitude. It's the opportunity. Can I accomplish my dreams with that financial vehicle? That's the question you've really got to answer. That's definitely a yes here. I mean, my goodness, what a comp plan. So it's not as cool as this. I mean, when they look at this card and then you bump their phone and it goes bing and there you are in all your glory with all your businesses, they think that's cool. But you're not going to do it. You're not going to go out and do it if the dream's not big enough and if you're not committed to growing you and growing others. That's really the bottom line. And you know what? On top of that, the last thing is it takes consistency. This is not a hit and miss deal. Anything you've ever accomplished anything in, you were consistent at. You didn't find that spouse just one time wherever you were seeing him or her, and all of a sudden, boom, you were married. You put out a consistent effort. I know I did. As ugly as I am, it took some work for me to land my gal. So you got to be consistent. It's that darn simple. You can't have everything else, like I was alluding to earlier about golf or fishing or quilting or baseball or whatever. You got to say, I'm going to do it this amount of times per week. On a daily basis, I'm going to do thus and such. And do it. And don't put it off. I mean, that's the biggest thing we have to deal with, is, at least I do. I'm a procrastinator. I've got to force myself, even today, to be consistent. Now, does that mean I can put it all off? And let's say I decide to do it 5 times a week, and I'm going to put it all off until Saturday and do it all on Saturday. That dog don't hunt. You've got to go just day in, day out, do something to get you closer to your dreams. So consistency is a key. Now, let me ask you, how many of y'all have heard this old cliche, Rome wasn't built in a day? Y'all ever heard that one? Well, Rome wasn't built in a day. No, but every day they were laying bricks. Hello? Every day, do something. Not for bum, for your family, for your dreams. And I hope that you got something out of this. God bless. Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Holy cow. Okay. Hold on a second. I got all kind of things I need to talk about real quick. We're going to go a little bit long, guys. Get yourself ready. It's Saturday. Sit back and relax. We're going to go a little bit long, and I'm going to tell you why. He hit on a lot of things there. When you have a person that has 38 years experience in this industry, and when you have a person that just sat here for 1 hour, let you into his brain and let you into his world just for a short amount of time, that's just a snapshot glimpse of what this man knows. That's it. I mean, he could sit here and do 8 hours and probably change your entire mindset within 8 hours. He just did something right now that just reminded me of a lot of things. It doesn't matter if it's a 38-year-old veteran like Ken, or if it's somebody that hasn't been in very long. Everybody has something to offer, and I always do what I've been taught. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them in proportion. You need to do that. And when somebody that's got 38 years and built multiple businesses, 7 figures, you need to listen and you need to pay attention. So that's what I did. And what I got out of everything he just said, from the day he started as a trapper to where he is today, he did everything under one pretense, one thing: dreaming. Dreaming. Everything had to do with dreaming. Everything. He never lost sight of his dream. You know why? He never let nobody take it away from him. A lot of us, we look for the first thing to go wrong and we're out of there. Your dream is done. You might take the bump card and go somewhere and go bump a phone, and they're an older phone and it didn't work. You'll see, there it is right there. I knew it. I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was not right. It ain't going to work. Well, I would have known what Ken would have done. Ken would have said, hey, well, just turn on your camera. Let me scan this QR code. Don't panic. Don't panic. Because he'll make it work. Because that's the guy. Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to work, but I just remembered a picture, because a lot of people, when I tell them I was a state trapper, they go, what the heck is that? They don't believe me. But I just remembered, a friend of mine sent me a picture a few years ago, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not.
I can see it. There's the trapper Ken right there.
Yeah. Beaver belts, traps, and my buddy Bob.
Yeah. Trapper John. Trapper John, they called him. But guys, I'm going to tell you something. He hit on something about calling the big bumpers, calling us big bumpers. Who wants to be a big bumper?
Howie, baby.
Who? Well, the only way you can become a big bumper is be a big bumper. Start bumping. There's no other way to do it. There's no shortcut. There's nothing to it. You got to go start bumping. You got to start talking to people. You got to get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. You're not going to grow until you do. You're not going to grow until you do. You're going to stay right where you're at. If nothing changes, nothing changes. That's the rule. I didn't make the rule, but that's the rule. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Now, he said something that I wrote down that meant everything to me. Big attitude equals big business because you have big belief. Big attitude equals big business because you have big beliefs. Belief. Don't be afraid to tell the people you know what you're doing. Don't be afraid. What's going to happen? Oh, is that one of those deals? Oh, the answer is no. Oh, no problem. See, I get people that call me all the time and they give me this thing. Ron, I've talked to 3 people and they all said no. My business is horrible.
I quit.
You know what? If you think about it, you can talk to 3 people and they all say no, and your business hasn't changed. So how did it get horrible? It's the same as it was when you started talking to the 3 people. And here's the biggest thing. If you talk to those 3 people and all 3 of them join you, your business still hasn't changed. It doesn't change until they do something. That's when it changes. When they do something, that's when the difference happens. I'm going to tell you something, guys, that I was taught a long time ago. Ken probably knows this. If you have a problem in your business, you don't know how to solve it, go grab another customer or go sponsor somebody. New blood takes care of bad business every single time.
Every time.
New blood takes care of bad feelings. You need to do what Ken said. Your dreams are worth it. Make a decision with intention. With intention. That intention is your dream. When is the last time that you got on the internet and started looking at things you like and started taking snapshots, screenshots, printing them out, and that's your dreams? When's the last time you did that? I do it all the time. When Ken said write down 5 things, I got them. They came right out. I've been to Thailand a couple of times. I happen to love Phuket, Thailand. I love the beaches. I love the golf courses. I love the mountains. I love the emerald green water. I want a condo in Phuket. I want to take care of my daughter's future. She's 21 years old. She's a smart kid. I still want to take care of her because she's mine. I want to take care of my mom. I want to play golf around the world. I do. I want to play golf on those fancy courses. I want to be on those courses where I drive up. They do everything for me. Not because I'm that way. It's just what I want to do. I want them carrying my clubs. I want them telling me what to do. Go hit that. That's what I want. I've had a little taste of that in my life, and I love it. Then the last thing, I want to take care of my own personal issues because we all got them. We all got them. I want to take care of my own personal issues, and I'll get them done. But he said consistency and persistency. Short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. When he said, give up your football, your baseball, your darts, your bridge game, your quilting, whatever he said, I don't know. I mean, give that stuff up. It's called short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain, because I'll tell you something. If you give it up for a couple of years, it's still going to be there when you're finished. It's not going away, but you're going to love it a lot more than you did before. So there's something about what Ken said that we'll try to wrap this up all in one. I've never heard of an overnight success. I've never seen one in my life. I've never seen an overnight success in my life. Ken mentioned them, called lottery winners, but we know what happens to most of them. They can't keep it. They're not prepared. I've never, ever seen an overnight success, ever. Maybe you have, but I haven't, okay? And how does that work? Well, I always said this. Count how many TVs you have in your house. They don't want you to figure out exactly the inches that you have, because I'm going to tell you something. A TV is nothing more than the worst, the absolute worst business killer in the world. It's the worst. It's an entrepreneur grave is what it is for me. That's what a TV is. But if you was to add up all your TVs, count the inches on your TVs, add all those inches together, if you don't have that many personal development tapes, that many personal development books, if you don't have that much in your home, you're losing.
Yep.
You're losing. That's a great way to judge it. And he said, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I'm going to tell you right now, he said it. What your actions look like is exactly what your business will look like. What your actions look like is what your business will look like. And it all comes down to one thing, why you don't move and why you don't do something. One thing. And I'll finish it right here. And before I finish it, Ken, I thank you so much for taking your time out on a Saturday to come share this with all of us. It's very.
I love it. I love it. I'd like to leave you guys with this, though. Remember that property I talked about?
Yeah.
And described?
Yeah.
We live on it.
I know you do. I know that about you. I know that about you. Because no one stole his dream.
We had a big, beautiful timber frame barn dominium. Unfortunately, lost it to fire recently, but we're coming back.
Yep.
But you could see our property, you'd go, that's exactly what you described to me.
Yeah, it is. It is. No one stole Ken and Sandy's dream because they wasn't about to let it happen. I don't even care if it was family trying to crush him, you wasn't going to let it happen. Nobody gets in the way. Nobody gets in the way. When you make that decision with intention, nobody gets in the way. And if you're sitting around on your rusty dusty watching television, that would be your problem. That would be you don't have a dream big enough. But it comes down to one thing, guys. It's called fear. It's called fear. You're afraid of succeeding. You're afraid of it not working. You're afraid of what your friends are going to think about you. You're afraid they're going to talk about you. You're afraid of all these things. Well, I can tell you they're doing it anyway.
They're going to talk about you anyway.
They're doing it anyway. Fear is an acronym, and some of you have heard this, but it is an actual acronym for this. False evidence appearing real. That's all it is. False evidence. It's not real. It's not real. You control what you do. You control your dream. You control what happens around you. Guys, if you're not making it anywhere and you're hanging around some of the wrong people, keep them as your friends, but start hanging out with some new people. Start hanging out with some new people that's got drive, that's got that functionality, that's got the persistence, consistency. Start hanging up around with them people that are driven, and Ken is correct. This timing could not be better than what it is right now. It could not be better than what it is. Because if you think for 1 second that people are going to come out of this pandemic, corruption is what I call it. Corona corruption is what I call it. If you think they're going to come out of this and they're going to think the same, no, because now they've been conditioned. They've been conditioned just like you were conditioned as a kid going to school. Go to school, get an education, come out, go to college, get a job, work 40-40-40 plan. That's the conditioning. Now they've been conditioned. Stay away from each other. Don't get around each other. Don't sneeze on me. Don't look at me. Don't touch me. Don't do anything around me. With that being said, folks, we're primed and poised to be exactly where we need to be. And I know what you're thinking, but Ron, it's a bump cart. Yeah, it is. It's a bump cart. The people right now that are afraid to get around anybody, and we're not afraid to do it, guess who's going to win? Do you think for 1 minute that because of this pandemonium, that people are not going to have a business card? Do you think they're still not going to hand out a business card? I had a woman tell me on the phone yesterday, Ron, nobody will be doing business cards anymore. It'll never happen again. Nobody will buy them. What are you talking about? I'm going to tell you something. When I get somebody on the phone like that, you know what I do? Have a fantastic day. Boom. I don't waste my time.
Next.
Don't waste your time. Your time is valuable. Talk to somebody that sees what you offer. Talk to somebody like that. Ken, again, thank you so much. But thank each one of you for hanging out with us today. I will get this thing recorded and I'll put it on YouTube for everybody. Everybody have a fantastic Saturday. And I want to tell you something. If any of you have a speaker that has something to offer, because everybody has something to offer. They don't have to be a 38-year veteran. They don't have to be somebody who's done it forever. Let me tell you what I want next week. Let's see who steps up. I want a female speaking next week.
Ooh.
I want a lady speaking next week that just comes and tells her story. Doesn't have to have the Ken story. Doesn't have to have the Thomas. Doesn't have to have any big story. Because I'm going to tell you something. A lot of people think that you got to be a big speaker to be on here. You don't. Because everybody has something to offer. And sometimes all it takes is for someone to offer you a platform to speak one time in your life and it changes. I'm going to tell you something. One day somebody gave Ken an opportunity. He wasn't sure he could do it or not. They probably wasn't sure he could do it either. Same thing happened to me. Same thing happened to me. Same thing happened to Thomas. Same thing. I can tell you the first time I was on stage speaking, in 5 minutes, my shirt was soaking wet. Front, back, shoulders, all of it, soaking wet. But I got through it.
I forgot my name.
Yeah. Yeah, see? He forgot his name. I didn't forget my name, but I was a nervous wreck. A nervous wreck. You might feel the same thing, but you know what that feeling is? You're alive. That's what that feeling is. You're alive. You're not that mundane activity just going through the motions anymore. You're alive now. You're all alive. And you got this in front of you to change your life and chase your dream, whatever that dream is. But you got to chase it. You got to plug into it. You got to chase it like Ken said. He's walking, talking proof of it. And I don't say this lightly. Ken is the guy that does what he says and says what he does. If you don't know this by now, this man has the biggest team in the bump card. And there's a reason for that. Because he practices what he preaches. Okay?
I just got good leaders.
Exactly. You know why? Because Ken goes after people that sees it. He's not spending his time trying to convince people. It's not what he does. Oh, you don't see it? Have a good day. It doesn't change his mental attitude. It doesn't change his thought process. It doesn't change what he's doing to the day. And I don't get a call from Ken going, Ron, I just talked to this GM at the place and it didn't work. The bump card didn't work. What's wrong? I don't get those phone calls. I don't get them. Leaders don't give me those phone calls. Not that you're a leader when you call me. You're a leader. You're going through the process. You're going through the process. You'll hit that point one day and go, I don't care. Moving on. Moving on. That's exactly what happened. And the minute you do that, the minute you quit worrying, and the minute you quit worrying about what people think or worrying about people say, you'll become rich. Not just with money. Not just with money. Even more than that. Even more. All right? So listen, guys, thank you for hanging out with us for an hour and 5 minutes. This went longer than what I thought, but I'm happy that it did. Thank you, Ken. We'll do it again this Saturday. Remember what I talked about on review.thebumpcard.me. Super, super, super important. Do not forget that if you are not with us at the Bump Card, the official Bump Card group, please go there, because as we start sharing these presentations, that's where you'll share it from. So everybody have a fantastic Saturday. Have a great Sunday. Whatever you choose to do.
Let me ramble, y'all.
Yes, sir. You're welcome, Ken. God bless everybody. We will see you Monday night on another live broadcast of The Bump Show featuring the Bump Card. Have a great day, everybody.
Love bumpers.